Okay, we will start discussing the next type of the measurement. So this week and next week, we will focus on measurement for the roof. Okay, so as what I asked before, Chachanyan, what is the title for section M? Section M is woodwork. And coverage also answer. Section L is roofing. Okay. Right, these two are the two sections that you have to refer for this semester, for this week regarding to measurement for the roof. I would like you to refer to section M because section M is the clause that we have to refer for the woodwork. We are going to discuss the timber structural roofing for this week and next week. And then after that, we will go to section L to discuss about the roof covering. Okay. And then the last one, Go NG. Can you refer to section Q? What is section Q? Section Q. Go NG? Or Jasper? What is the title for section Q and section, this is under what? Jasper and Go NG. Can you answer me? Open your SMM. Go NG and Jasper. Le Chongwei, what is section Q? Chongwei? No response from Wenji and Jasper. So, okay, yes, plumbing work. What is the title? What is the title for section Q? If you open your section Q, what is the title? Yes, plumbing is correct because we have one item for the roofing in plumbing. But can everyone refer to section Q? What is section Q all about? You can go to your SMM page number what? Page number 94. So section Q is plumbing, mechanical, engineering, installation. So there are two topics over there. Okay, for those who mentioned plumbing, yes, that one is correct because this is the clause that we have to refer to measure the third component of the roofing. Okay, when we talk about roofing, thank you, Wenji. Yes, gutter is under plumbing. Jasper? Okay, why I asked you to refer to these three clauses because when we measure for the roof, we have to refer to three sub-elements. Okay, you can see that the element is actually the roof. So element is, okay, the sub-element for the first one, the sub-element is roof construction. Sorry, wrong spelling. Roof construction. And then the second one, or some people use this word, roof structure. Okay, and the second theme is based on answer by Chia Chanyan. Sorry, this one is based on answer by Chia Chanyan. Okay, this is section M. And then the second one by answer given by Mr. Fu. Okay, the sub-element for this one is roof covering, or some engineer or architect use the word roof finishes. That is the same thing. Okay, so this is where you can refer to the answer by Fu Junsheng. Okay, Fu Junsheng, this is section L. So roofing. Every time we refer to section L, this is about the covering, not the structure itself. And the last one, the question where I asked Go NG and Jasper to write down. So the element is RWDP and gutter. Okay, or we can put as RWDP. Anyone know what is RWDP? Gutter. Gutter is under RWDP. So what is RWDP? Rain, water, downpipe. Okay, you can use this one as the sub-element. If I repeat, please take note, yeah. Please take note that this is something that you have to write down in your element. Roof construction or structure. The second one, roof covering or roof finishes. And the third one is rainwater downpipe, RWDP. And I would like everyone to take note that the measurement for the roof that I discussed now is based on the slope roofing. Of course, you have to refer to different type of the roofing, but we are not able to cover the whole type of the roofing. So basically, the principle will be discussed, the principle of measurement for the roof covering, roof structure. But then after that, you have to apply this principle for different type of the shape for the roofing. Okay, let's go to the first part of the measurement for the roof. Chong Wei, you get the clause already? Chong Wei, section Q, section L, and section M. Chong Wei? Okay, now let's look at the learning outcome. You must be able to identify the item based on the three types of the element. So I put here three sub-elements, sorry. The element is the roof, then we have three sub-elements, and then of course after that you have to identify the clauses, the unit of measurement, then you must be able to prepare taking of quantities. This is based on the reference from the book and also discussion with the big that I asked you to assign before this. And then for this task, you have to prepare the BQ as well. Okay, the outcome for all measurement is the student must be able to prepare good set of BQ with quantities. Okay, this is what I did mention. When you need to start any measurement of the roof, you have to divide into three components: roof structure or construction. The books use the word roof construction. You can use the term construction or the structure. And then after that, we have the covering or finishes, gutter and rainwater downpipe. Okay, this is the subheading as what I did mention before. Now we go to the recap session on the roof type. Okay, from this roof type, can any one of you inform me two basic type of the roof? Two basic type of the roof. Can you highlight from this particular drawing? Evin, can you highlight number one? Evin, two basic type. And number two, I would like Daniel to highlight. Can you highlight and in the drawing? Which one? Which one? Or can you choose the shape and identify the box? Evin, number one. Daniel. So open gable by coverage. What about Daniel? Daniel, which one is yours? Can you put your name as well? What about Alvin? Open gable, yes, this is number one. Maybe I can assign two. So open gable here by coverage. Thank you, coverage. Daniel, which one is yours? Daniel? Hip and valley, that is complicated. No. Hip and valley is not. Basic type. Basic type. Can you write your name? Daniel, circle. So this is by Daniel. Daniel, circle that. Okay, so same with the coverage. Okay, because you mentioned here open gable, can I get the response for Evin Mo? Evin Mo, can you identify and put your name? Which one? There are two basic type of the roof that must be in your mind always. You circle. Can you put your name? Evin mentioned dash gable. Okay, what about Daniel? Daniel, can you identify one more in this roof type? Daniel, circle that. So Daniel, circle open gable. Evin mentioned dash gable. So flat roof. Who's identified the flat roof? Okay, actually all of these are correct, but in order for you to master all the basic measurement for the roof, we have to identify number one, this is open gable, correct? Another one is hip, okay? And then another one is flat. Not to say dash gable is not the basic, but because you have this element, so this is not considered as basic. Okay, the one that I tick are considered as the most basic type of the roof. Okay, if you understand these three components, then if we combine between all these flat and hip, for example, or maybe gable and hip, then you are able to get the intersecting part, butterfly, mansard, and so on. Okay, if you look at the first one, skillion and lean-to roof. The lean-to roof is actually basic from open gable. Okay, once you see open gable, you can see that, oh, this is actually a combination of, but the shape is different. And then box gable and open gable. The box gable and open gable, the difference is this one, the gable end. Okay, the dormer, they have another component, small area here, this one. This is the small one. And then when you see the word intersecting, this is already complicated part. This is the one that you see in the books that I share with you. Butterfly, a combination of lean-to roof, but there are two. So you can see the butterfly has the gutter in the center of the roof. That is a bit different with others. Mansard, we have mansard roof in, if I'm not mistaken, is R&R Sungai Besi, Kuala Lumpur. We have a mansard roof. This is quite special, and this is quite famous type of the mansard, quite famous type of the roof available in UK. Okay, gambrel we have also in Malaysia. Hip and valley, this is quite common for office building, residential, bungalow, and so on. Gazebo, do you know where is gazebo? Gazebo normally at the garden. Okay, and then jerkin head, a flat roof, a cross hip. Cross hip is a combination of two different hip roof where you can see the valley. And then we have pyramid roof, pyramid hip roof combination, and then shade. This one also can be considered as lean-to roof, sort box, almost similar like open gable, but the difference is the length of the rafter is different. Okay, another one we have M shape, and this is actually very basic. You can see another type as well. And then for this topic, I would like everyone to remember and be familiar with all the terminology, because every time I discuss, I will ask maybe coverage, can you identify where is dormer? Can you identify Evin, which one is hip? Maybe I will ask Daniel, can you identify which one is valley? So please be familiar with all these termini. Okay, this is the example that you have learned that I take from construction technology. You can refer to the construction technology notes if this is not sufficient, but basic term must be in your mind always. Okay, if you look at this introduction, this is the combination of hip roof. This is the hip, and then you can see the flat roof. From this particular type of the roof, I would like you to see the finishes of the roof. You can see the finishes of the roof is available here. For example, the term ridge. This is like the main bone of the structure. And then this one, finial. This is the finishing of the roof. And then here you can see the hip. This one, this is the hip. And then the dormer, the hip end, the soffit, the fascia board, the valley, and so on. The valley is only applicable when you have intersecting type of the roof. Okay, intersecting means they join two different type of the roof. And then the verge is only applicable at the gable roof. Okay, this is known as gable end. Where you have the gable end, you must understand the term verge, where we have the verge cover, and we also have the verge board. Okay, verge board or bashboard, this is actually the same thing. Again, you can see this is the recap on the terminology. Same, some of the roof elements available here. Asphalt shingle. Anyone know what is asphalt shingle? Asphalt shingle is the type of roof covering. And then 2, rafter. So rafter is under the construction. Ridge, also we have to understand ridge is either ridge covering or ridge board. Number 4, we have valley rafter and the collar beam. Valley rafter and collar beam are under the roof structure or construction. Okay, you can see on the left hand side, these are the elements where you can see the finishing and the structure. On the right hand side, these are the finishing part. For those who confuse between the verge board and the bash board, this is actually the same thing. Bash board and verge board is similar. Okay, bash board and verge board is similar. This is the example where you can see the verge area. The verge is at the gable end. Okay, but in this case, there is no verge covering. This is the fascia, this is the fascia board, and then you have the cladding. Cladding is not part of the roof covering, and the soffit of your fascia board. Okay, right. If I ask you about this particular type, what is the name of this roof? Cheng Yixuan, what is the name of this roof? Before you identify, I would like you to write down. Cheng Yixuan, what is the name of this roof? Cheng Yixuan. this part. Can you identify? Sorry. Chen Yixuan, what is the name of this roof? Can you write down? This roof. This one. This is not open gable. Can you try again? Chen Yixuan. You can write down here, Chen Yixuan. And then I would like to assign So Ziqing. What is the name of the second part of the roof? Why I would like you to identify this? Because the different type of the roof may have different elements or different item to be measured. So you really need to be familiar with this type of the roof. Mr. So Z, how to spell? S-O-H. So Ziqing. What is the name of the second part? The last one is flat roof. Can you write down? Chen Yixuan? Or maybe overlap hip? Okay, for this one, I only would like you to identify the type of the roof, not considering whether they are intersecting or not. Okay, this name of the roof itself. So Ziqing, you can see the gable over there. So what is the name of that roof? So Ziqing, or maybe I can assign someone else. Simini, can you identify? This one, I would like Sean. Can you try once again? Daniel or Sean. What is the name of this particular roof? This one. Sean and Daniel, other than overlap hip. Simini on the left hand side. And then either Simini or So Ziqing. Dormer. Dormer is the small one, the big one. Good try. Simini, what about you? Go Wenji, you answer for the blue color or the red color? Wenji. Wenji, yes, when you mentioned about hip roof, which one? The red or the blue color? The red one, yes, correct. The red one is hip roof. Thank you, Wenji. When your friend Sean mentioned intersecting, that is also correct. When you have the combination between these two, and then how you know that this is intersecting? Because they are valley. Can you see this one? This is valley. This is valley. Look at my hand. Okay. What about Daniel? Cross. Okay, good. But cross normally having something like this. Cross is like this until the end. But this hip roof is at the center of this gable roof. So Ziqing, dormer. If you mention dormer, is only this one. But what about Simini? Chen Yixuan mentioned open gable. Yes, this is gable. So if I ask you, basically this is gable roof. Okay, this is hip roof. Again, okay, these two type of the roof must be in your mind always, and you need to know what are the main difference. What is the main difference between these two? Hip roof has these two. Can you see this one? That means from the layout plan, okay, I need everyone to be familiar with this terminology. Yeah? If you look at from the layout plan, the hip roof has this one. Okay, so this is your hip roof. This one, you can see this. You can see this. But if you refer to the gable roof, you only can see rectangular. Only rectangular from the plan view. That is the main difference. This is the plan view. This is the plan view. Is it okay? So Ziqing, can you see the difference now? From the plan view, you only can see straight line. Okay, this is a gable. But for the hip roof on the right hand side, you can see the line of the hip roof. That is the main difference. Both having this one. What is this? This is ridge. Ridge is like the main bone. Okay, and then when you combine between these two type of the roof, that is where you have valley. Okay, normally the valley having the same, if I wrap this one again, this valley having the same length as the hip roof. Okay, this one, they are same. Okay, and then for the gable, this is the gable end. This is the gable end, where for the gable end, the type of, if I draw this one again, this is the line. Can you see? This is known as common rafter. Okay, and then for this particular drawing also you can see the flat roof. So basically the flat roof and roof covering that having slope cannot be measured under one item, because the material for the flat roof and material for the roof covering that having the slopey inclination are different. The material are different. So when the material are different, you cannot measure under one item. Okay, one more thing. I think here, so Ziqing mentioned about dormer. So you can see there are dormer here. And one more, go kai ching. Do you know what is this? Go kai ching is lean to roof. The lean to roof is like awning used to cover certain part of the building elements. For example, this lean to roof is used to cover or to give some covering for the window itself. Okay, right. Another thing is I would like you to look at the term fascia. The fascia board is applicable under rainwater downpipe, and it must be installed along the perimeter of your roof, except at the gable end. So at the gable end, you cannot put the fascia here. The fascia is only available here. 1, 2, 3. Can you see my line in red color? Okay, so that is fascia. The rest of the terminology are available in both structure and covering. Okay, please be familiar with all these components. Okay, we start with the measurement principle for the roof structure. Okay, for the roof structure, I also would like everyone to look at the terminology. Why? Because you may see this kind of the design in different drawing. I may not be able to give you all example, but I review the terminology with the principle of measurement, where if you have seen the component of the roof having the similar size, you can measure under one item. Okay, that is the basic rule. So if I write here again, if they are having the similar size, you can measure under one item. That is the rule. Okay, how you measure this one under one item? Because SMM use the term pitch roof members. So all the members that having the similar size, you can measure under one item. For example, okay, look at this one. Look at this one. This is the design where you can see the struts. You can see the tie beam. Can you see? This is the tie beam, and you can see the purlin, and then you can see the rafter. This is the rafter. This is the common rafter. Okay, if all of these are having similar size, just measure under one item. That means after you measure the length of the rafter, after you measure the length of the tie beam, you can measure under pitch roof members. So always remember this principle. Okay, I mentioned about this because a lot of students, they measure one by one, rafter as one item, tie beam under one as the item, but the size are similar. Okay, the rule is if they are having similar size, measure under one item, but basically the ridge board are having bigger size other than compared to another component. So if I ask you to identify how many items to be measured for this one, the ridge board is one item, and the rest of the component are considered as one, provided that the size for the struts, the tie beam, the strut, the tie beam, the rafter, the cleat, the straining beam are similar. Is it okay, Chezian? Is it okay, Chezian? This is actually quite complicated because you can see the queen post. This is the queen post. This is the strut. This is the straining beam, and so on. Look at on the right hand side. This is quite simple a bit. Still you have the common rafter, but here they are ridge collar. Look at this. Okay, but the ridge board having bigger sizes. Logically you can see the cross section for this one is bigger. The cross section means this one. This is the cross section. But the cross section for this one is a bit smaller. So logically, under section M, if the cross section is different, you have to measure separately. Okay, under the second one, hanger, purlin, strut, ridge collar, and common rafter can be measured under one item. The second one is under ridge board. Okay, and then this is another design that is also made from the timber. You can see there are variety of the component based on the design. The principle are similar. Okay, if the ridge are similar size, you can combine under one item. In this case, there is no information about the ridge board, but this one is combined into apex at the peak. So maybe for this one, you can measure under one item. Okay, now this is only to review, but your drawing may be a little bit different. Again, I put here the anatomy of the roof or terminology of the roof. Please take note on this, or please take note on the terminology. Okay, the word flashing, the shingles. The shingle is finishing, yeah, the roof covering. Underlay, underlay is under the finishing. Decking, rafter, collar beam, valley, rafter, and all this label. Please look at this one again. Okay, and then also the review of this one, the one that you have learned in construction technology. I just highlight again. You can check the color with the color and where is the component in the layout plan. Okay, Draven, can you see this one like yellow color? What is where is yellow color? Yellow color are common rafter. Low Zesian, can you identify the hip rafter? Then you have to identify. This is the exercise that I will discuss with you during the studio. During the studio, maybe I will ask, okay, Lim Bun Shin, can you refer to the layout plan that is not being colored yet? So I will assign Lim Bun Shin, can you identify where is common rafter? So you have to color it. Muhammad Irfan, can you identify where is rafter? So you have to identify the blue color as hip rafter. Then after we discuss this one, then you have to count how many numbers of the hip rafter, valley rafter, common rafter, and so on. Then we start measure. Okay, this is only example, but the actual drawing are based on the drawing in our studio. The terminology like hip jack, valley rafter, all of these will be identified based on the drawing layout plan. Tommy Lee Wen Ching. Okay, another one. This is the review of the roof structure, but this is for the long spanning. This is a bit different. In case I ask you to measure for the long spanning roof, this is normally applicable where you have the roof that is spanned without having any support in the middle. That is what we call as long span timber structure. Because I'm talking about the timber structure, I would like you to know this is not only applicable for the short span. Span means opening, yeah, for those who cannot remember what is the meaning of span. This is the meaning of span. Span is here. Span means opening. This is the span. Can you see the word span here? Clear span, the opening. So if you have the long spanning, the example is like portal structure. This is the example of the portal structure where you can see for the futsal court, factory, or maybe commercial building, exhibition hall, and so on. Look at this. All of this has to be measured in meter according to the cross section. Okay, but this is for the long spanning. Now I would like you to go to the actual clause in your SMM. Can you refer to your section M? Okay, look at section M. Basically, this is the general principle under section M. We have seen this one before. You have to measure separately according to the kind and quality of material. So kind and quality, this is defined as either sawn or wrought timber. And then the second one is based on the preliminary treatment. I put here if any. Selection or protection also if any. Matching of grade and color. This is if the architect or engineer already specify, okay, you have to use this color, you have to use this color, especially on the finishing part. And this is also surface ribbon if any. So basically when I ask my student to look at the rule of measurement, we refer to the first one. Very important. Either sawn or wrought timber. This is under kind. Another one is based on the grade. Okay. In the description, normally you have to write down either grade A, grade B, or grade C. Where if the engineer already specify, okay, this is merbau timber, this is the cengau timber, oak timber, so that one must be clearly stated. Okay, so the one, can you refer to section M.2? Michelle, what is the title under section M.2? Michelle? M.2, what is the title? Michelle? Michelle. What is M.2? What is M.2, Michelle? Michelle Tanzi Yui. Kakasing. This is the actual clause that you have to refer. But before we go, thank you, Michelle. Before we go to the kakasing, I also highlighted here the item, the component that you have to write down in the description according to the basic nominal size. And then if there is no information about the jointing, you have to know that this is under the discretion of the contractor. And then the remaining rule are stated in the previous slide under M.1. This is what I did mention. This one, yeah? Okay. Then, according to the answer by Michelle, you can refer to section M.2. M.2. Kakasing. Anyone know what is the meaning of kakasing? Kawai. Lim Kawai, do you know what is kakasing? Kakasing is like the bone. Even if you go to supermarket, if you see the term karkas, that is referring to the bone. So the bone of the roof is normally referring to the structure. Okay. Okay. SMM use the word karkasing. So you need to know the word karkasing are referring to the structure. Is it okay, class? Can you refer to M.2? M.2 is based on the classification, section M. M.2. Okay, unless otherwise stated or included as part of a composite item, all karkasing items shall be given in, what is the unit of measurement? Lok Wei Cheng, what is the unit of measurement? M.2.1. M.2.1, Lok Wei Cheng, can you tell me what is the unit of measurement? Lok Wei Cheng. Lok Wei Cheng, what is the unit of measurement for karkasing item? Unless otherwise stated, the unit of the measurement for all karkasing items shall be? Lok Wei Cheng? Meter. Okay, good. Meter. Yes, that means you have, thank you, Lok Wei Cheng. You have to answer by finding the length. Okay, so the unit of measurement is meter. Okay, look at these two categories. The first one, pitch roof members, including the ceiling joists. Ceiling joists, also known as the tie beam. So if you see the word tie beam, you should know this is also part of the ceiling joist. Beam can be used as the ceiling joist. And the second one, curb barriers and the like, including the wall, including the plate. So the plate here in the roof are referring to wall plate. Okay, where is the wall plate? Anyone know where is wall plate? The wall plate must be on the top of the brick wall. So if you look at this drawing, if I draw again, this is the brick wall, this is the brick wall, for example. Then you need to install your roof here. This is your roof. You cannot simply put the roof or the rafter, look at this, you cannot put this rafter directly on this particular brick wall. What you need to do, you have to install the wall plate on the top of this. This is the wall plate, the one that I draw in cross. Can you see that? That is the wall plate. Okay, for those who cannot remember where is the wall plate, I go back to the previous slide, show you where is the wall plate. This is the wall plate. Can you see? When I zoom in, okay, this is the wall plate on the top of this, the red color. This one may be not clear enough. This one, wall plate. The wall plate is installed on the top of the brick to avoid the center point from the rafter in terms of the load distribution. To avoid the center point that will cause the breakage of the brick in terms of receiving the loading. So basically the installation of the ridge board, the rafter must be on the top of this wall plate. So if you refer to this particular clause, I go back to the clause. Okay, you can see that there are two different clauses for this particular measurement. Number one, pitch roof members. This is the first one. This is the first one, pitch roof members. Another one is the wall plate. What does it mean? That means the wall plate and the pitch roof members is not be able to be measured together. You have to measure separately. The wall plate under one item, the pitch roof members under one item, even though the size are similar. Okay, this one I also give you an example. Refer to the rafter, the hip rafter, valley rafter, re-ceiling joist, strut, kim post, tie beam, collar post, purlin, and so on. Whatever component under pitch roof members, you can measure under this category, M.2.1. And then the second one, wall plate, are referring to M.2.1E. Okay, both have to be measured in meter. Okay, so from this drawing, this is also another item, another example, where you can see in 3D view where is the common rafter. This rafter, look at my hand, and then this one is ceiling joist, or can be your tie beam. It is the same thing. What you can see in another way of the rafter in 90 degree, this is known as purlin. Can you see? This is your purlin. Sorry, this is your purlin. This one. And then you have the collar tie here installed in on the top. At the bottom is purlin. At the center you have the ridge beam or the ridge board. This is actually the similar. Unless otherwise stated, all carcassing items shall be given in meters stating the cross section. This is what I asked your friend just now. Unit of measurement is meter according to the cross section. Okay, right. We also have to consider the rod surface on the sawn item. For the rod surface and sawn item, you have to measure according to the width and according to the width and according to the the girth. This is according to M.3.2, and according to M.3.2, we have to measure the rod surface on the sawn timber based on the girth that is exposed. So let's say I draw the example. This is the cross section of your rafter, for example. Okay, where is the surface that is exposed? 1, 2, and 3. The top one is not considered as the rod surface to measure the girth. Why? Because the top component will be covered with your roof covering. So in order for you to know the size of the girth, let's say the size is 50 times 100. So where is 50? This is 50. This is also 50. This is 100. Okay, so how you want to get the girth for this one? 50 plus 50 times, plus 100. This is only one example, yeah? So we go to the item for the possible item to be measured. Why I put possible? Because the shape and the design of the roof may be different. Well, like what I show you in the first page of the terminology just now, there are possibility that some of you will see the ceiling joist, some of you will see the tie beam, some of you will see the strut. Some building doesn't have the strut, but they have the collar beam or the tie beam only. So the first item that you have to measure is wall plate. The second one, pitch roof members. Okay, and then after you measure the pitch roof members, you have to measure the rod surface, and the last item will be considered as the jointing for all these members. We have the gusset plate, we have the nail plates, we have bolt and nuts that have to be measured in number. Okay, all the sundries items have to be measured in number, but the rest have to be measured in meter. Okay, you can see this one, number 1 meter, number 2 meter, number 3 also meter. Okay, I also would like to highlight here, if some of you ask me, is this one we have to measure separately or not? The answer is based on the girth. Okay, if the girth is different, you have to measure separately. If the girth are similar, you can combine under one item. That is the rule. Okay, now can you refer to your drawing now? Okay, we will carry out certain exercise for this one before we go for the next one. Okay, from this drawing, I would like Leong Hoi Fei can you identify where is the ridge board? This is the drawing that you have to refer in your studio drawing number 15. Let me check again. If I zoom in, This is drawing number 15. So, Liu Hoifei, can you identify where is the ridge part? Use the line and identify. Okay, next one, I would like Liu Hoifei, you have to use red color. Okay, next one, Li Wei Kang, I would like you to use blue color. Li Wei Kang, can you identify the hip rafter? Okay, next one, Lo Ze Xian. Lo Ze Xian, I would like you to identify the jet rafter. Please draw the line exactly on the drawing, yeah? Exactly on the drawing. Okay, and then I would like Sean to identify. Sean, please identify. Sorry, wrong spelling. Sean, please draw all the common rafter. Li Wei Kang, okay, good. Huh? Ridge board, my dear. Liu Hoifei, that is not ridge board. Ridge board, can you check again? Liu Hoifei, that is not ridge board. The red color is not ridge board, ridge board. Ridge board must be the main bone. If you see the fish, the main bone is at the center only. Okay, try again, try again. Okay, next one, Lim Guan Yuan. Lim Guan Yuan, I would like you to identify the wall plate. The wall plate must be around the perimeter of the building except at the gable end. Okay, next one, Michelle, use the yellow color. Michelle, can you identify where is the gable end? Okay, so I'm waiting for your answer before we discuss. Li Wei Kang, there are another two hip rafter. Liu Hoifei, please be careful. This one is not your ridge board. This is not ridge board because you have the hip, right? The ridge must be here until here only. Hoifei? Good. Sean, common rafter, and then Lo Ze Xian, jet rafter. The jet rafter must be at the corner of your hip. Where is it? Lin Guan Yuan, the wall plate. The wall plate must be around the perimeter of the building except the gable end. Liu Hoifei, it must be until the end. Yeah? Can you see my hand? Until the end. Until here. Until here. Sampai atas ni. Because the dotted line is actually your brick wall. So the rafter, the ridge board must be on the top. Okay, good. Wei Kang, are you sure this one is hip? This is not hip, my dear. This is not hip. Can you delete? This is not hip. Okay, one more. I would like to assign Yao Chiwei. What color will it have? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I would like to have purple color again. Okay, Valley by Mr. Yao. Yao Chiwei. Can you identify? After you identify this, then we go to the principal again. So I will carry out the same exercise, but at least from this lecture, you all know where is the common rafter, where is valley, and so on. Sean, there will be one common rafter in between the hip rafter. There will be one common rafter in between the hip rafter. Can you see this one, Sean? This one? 90 degree, right? So this length and this length is similar. So don't forget this part. Sean? Yeah, correct. I'm waiting for Lin Guan Yuan to identify where is the wall plate. Can you see the dotted line, Lin Guan Yuan? the dotted line around this. Can you see this one? So it should be around the perimeter of the building except the gable end. Except the gable end. Sean, this one is the dotted line. Can you see the dotted line here? That is your gable end. So Michelle, that is under Michelle part. Lim Guan Yuan, it's supposed to be around the perimeter of the building. So it is not only here. This is not. It is, can you see the dotted? 1, 2, 3. The wall plate is where the rafter is installed, or we can say the rafter sits on the wall plate. That is the wall plate. The rafter must sit on the wall plate. So where is wall plate? This one, right? Lim Guan Yuan? Until here, around. Macam tu. Like that. Okay, so the rest of the student, please take note and use your drawing. Please highlight. This is the one that we are going to discuss in detail next week. So at least this week you are able to identify in detail, okay, this is the item. So when we discuss in the studio, you are able to get this terminology right. Lo Zesian, don't forget this one also. Check. Can you see this? Whatever connected to the jack and valley, that is also part of your valley, but this one is jack valley. Can you see? Still under jack. Luzesian, this is not. Sean, this is your part. Sean, can you see? The comma rafter must have the same line between the ridge. So if I zoom in, Sean, can you see my hand? This is your part. 1, 2, 3. But it will be actually stopped it will stop at the ridge. Okay, good. Lim Guan Yuan, Lim Guan Yuan, this is your gable, right? I go to Lim Guan Yuan first. Lim Guan Yuan, this is the gable. Gable is where you can see the brick wall until the ridge. If I draw, this is the gable. Can you see? The gable is here. Lim Guan Yuan, can you see? So, okay, this is the brick wall. All of these are brick wall. So if this is the brick wall, do you have the wall plate? No. So this is not. If you measure the wall plate, make sure you did not measure at the gable end. So can you see the brick wall is until on the top, whereas the wall plate is here. This is the wall plate. Sorry, wrong symbol. This is the wall plate. Can you see? Class, if you look at in detail, the wall plate having this design. Okay, where the rafter is having this design. Can you see the difference? The wall plate is designed where it is placed horizontally, something like this. Because we have to make sure that the wall plate will sit on the brick wall. Okay, so it must be installed like this. But for the rafter, it must be installed like beam. What is the meaning like beam? That means the height is more than the width. But for the wall plate, the width is more than the height. That's why if you look at in detail, the size of the wall plate is 100 times 50. But the rafter is 50 times 100. Do you still remember when I asked you to identify previously how to read the dimension in the drawing according to the cross section? The first dimension must be horizontal. So this is horizontal, H. This is vertical. But for the wall plate that had been assigned by Lim Guan Yuan, the 100 is horizontal. That means wider, but 50 is vertical. So that is the difference. Now let's look at the answer by Michelle. Yes, Michelle is done correctly because there is a gable end. Can you see the yellow color on the right? On the right hand side. I zoom in a little bit. And then Lim Guan Yuan, correct, 1. But Lim Guan Yuan, please ensure that you draw until here. Can you see my hand, Lee Guan Yuan? Here, straight. Here, straight. This one as well. Lee Guan Yuan. Leong Hoi Fei, Leong Hoi Fei answer is correct. Li Wei Kang also correct. There are 4 numbers of the hip rafter. Liao Chi also correct. Why suddenly some of you left the session? And then Sean, please be careful, Sean. Sean, this is not yours. This one is not common rafter. If you would like to know the common rafter or not, the line or the length for the common rafter from this line to this line is equal, similar. Sean, can you see? This one is similar, right? Sean, this one and this one is similar. Okay, but if you look at this is shorter. So this one also shorter. This is also shorter. This is also shorter. So this one belong to Lo Zhe Xian. Whatever shorter than whatever rafter that is attached with the ridge, but that is shorter, that is known as jack. Jack is connected to each other, but it is not similar. So can you correct it, Lo Zhe Xian? The jack rafter? Lo Zhe Xian. I draw one for you. Can you see this one? 1, 2. So can you continue? It should be the same as what you did for this one, Lo Zhe Xian. Okay, before we break for a while, I would like to give you one simple equation where I would like everyone to remember. Okay, I give you this simple equation. The length of the common rafter is equal to the shortest jack rafter plus the longest jack rafter. Please remember and take note on this equation. Okay? Okay, now, Sean, do you understand why I did mention just now? This orange color is belong to Lo Zhe Xian, and the green color is the length that is similar between here and here. Can you see my line? And the last one is the equation. Okay, please take note everyone. If you would like to screenshot this one for your reference in the studio and for your understanding, please do so before I go to the next one for the discussion. Okay, everyone, please take note. This is the simple rule that you have to take note. You have to identify and you have to know where is wall plates and so on. Oh, I think the answer by Lim Guan Yuan for this one is wrong. Lim Guan Yuan, this is not your wall plate, yeah? The wall plate must be here. Yes, correct. It must be inside the overhang. For those who cannot remember where is overhang, this is the overhang. The overhang in this case is 900 mm. Can you see that? This is 900 mm. Okay? So please take note on this particular information. You have to identify all these components before we go for the actual measurement for the roof. And the one that you mentioned, that you highlighted here, are all the length in the plan view. So in the plan view is not the answer. Please remember that the plan view is not the answer. You have to refer to this drawing to measure the actual measurement for the roof construction. For example, you have to use the so, cha, and to. Okay, so cha, to is referring to sin or sinus equal to opposite divided by hypotenuse. Okay, and then in this case, this is also the measurement that you have to carry out. I give you one example. Let's say you would like to measure the length of the common rafter. If you would like to measure the length of this common rafter, you have to refer to this cross-section detail. How you want to get this cross-section detail? There are two methods. Either you measure according to this one, cosinus, or according to hypotenuse rule of measurement. Hypotenuse rule of measurement is you have to total up. Let's say this one is a square plus b square and find the square root to get c. This is the basic method. Okay, in case you are not being given with the height and the drawing is not to scale, you have to use cosinus to get the answer by referring to the degree of this particular triangle. Then only you can get the length of this particular information. In this case, I also highlighted, in order for you to get length of A, okay, the length of A, you have to deduct half of the ridge, because the length that is stated here is the center line. Can you see my line here? You can refer to your drawing as well. Center line, where this center line is including the size of the ridge board. So I would like you to know that principally you cannot measure according to this drawing. Even though I asked Sean to identify the length of the comma rafter, he identified the length of the comma rafter here. This is the length on plan. And why I asked Sean to identify? Because you need to know how many numbers of the comma rafter available in this drawing, where after you get the length of this particular C, for example, if you get C here, then after that you can times with how many numbers of comma rafter. Okay, so this is the rule of measurement. You can refer to your drawing, drawing number, I think this one is drawing number 16 or 17. Detail A to show you the if detail, but the scale here is small. So the smaller, the more accurate the answer is. This is the overhang, 900 mm, and you can see all the information of the roof covering are here. This is the wall plate, okay? But for this particular information, I would like everyone to take note, the size is not 50 times 150, but it's 150 times 50. Please change this one so that it will not cause confusion to the student. Vivian, can you change this one? 150 times 50, okay? The wider times the second one. So this is the drawing that you have to measure for this particular studio. How you want to write down the description, as what I told you, you can refer to cross section and what is the group of the timber, and then identify the specific type of the component. This is the example for the wall plates. And the second one, why I show you B and C differently, because this is the example where the comma rafter and the tie beam having different sizes. So this one are based on the size that you have to refer to your particular drawing. But in case the tie beam and comma rafter are similar, you can put under pitch roof members. Okay, the second item that you have to measure is based on level for the forming of the rod surface. Remember, if you need to measure the level of the forming of the rod surface, you have to measure according to the curve that is exposed only, not the curve that is not exposed. Okay, so what is the meaning of the curve that is exposed is here. You only have to measure the rod surface here. The rod surface on the sawn timber is, let's say this is the sawn timber. So you have to make sure that this, because this particular overhang is exposed, we have to use either the sandpaper or maybe the machine to make sure that this rafter is smooth and tidy. Okay, because this is exposed. So that is the purpose why you have to measure the rod on the sawn timber. Rod surface on sawn timber means we have to make the sawn timber to be rod. We have to make the sawn timber to be cantik or beautiful or better, tidy, neat, and so on. So that is the meaning of this one. In order for you to measure, you have to measure the length only. This is the rule of measurement. The length only. Okay? So the pitch is similar. You can see that the pitch is still 35 degree in this case, but the length on plan is 900. The length on plan is only 900, but the length on plan for this one is 900 plus 3,600 divided with half of the ridge. That is the difference. Okay, so I think we break for a while, maybe 5 minutes, then only we continue. Yeah. The second part of the measurement is measurement for the rod surface. So this is the second item that you have to measure after you measure the rafter itself. After you measure the rafter itself and the wall plates, you have to measure for the rod surface. This is under carcassing labours. The word labours is the work that we have to pay for the labour to use either the machine or the sandpaper to make the surface to be wrought. Wrought means neat and tidy, as what I did mention before. And in the beginning of the lecture, I also mentioned the part that is required to be measured for the girth. Let's say I give you an example. This is the cross section of the rafter, 75 times 100. So where is 75? This is your 75. Okay, the side is 75 and then this one is 100. Okay. Sorry, the left and the right is 100. This is 75. This is 75 at the bottom. Let me change the color first. You can see the example as well, 75. This is 100. So how you want to get the girth? Why you need to know the girth? Because if you have different girth, you have to measure separately. Is it okay, Sean? Do you get this particular rule of measurement, Sean? Irene? Do you understand this part? Okay, let's say the size of the common rafter is given at 50 times 100. So you need to know where is 50, where is 100. In this case, I gave you the bottom part is 70, then 75. And I also mentioned here the green color. This part is not required to be applied for the rod surface because on the top of this, you have to cover with the roof covering. Okay, so this is the item that you have to measure in meter. How you want to measure in meter? You can refer back to this particular drawing. The measurement in meter is actually based on the overhang, this one. Okay, so you can use 900 and you can use the 35 degree to get the measurement using the cosinus. Remember the sochato, S means sinus, T means tangent, and S means, C means cos. So use that particular method if you would like to get the length in meter. So I go back to this particular slide. Sorry, go back to this one. So this is the answer that we have to refer. Okay, I give you one example on the left hand side. This is the rod surface on the surfaces of your hip rafter. Can you see from the layout plan the overhang part, and then from this drawing, this is the length. Okay, why you have to refer to the bottom part? Because you want to get the length in meter, but in order for you to know how many numbers of the overhang for this particular hip, this one is according to the numbers of the hip rafter. And then the other one, you can see this is the cross section of the common rafter. So how many numbers of the common rafter you can directly measure from this drawing. Okay, the height here has been given, or else you can use the pitch, no problem with that. Any method that you prefer, measure in meter. Okay, so as the recap part, as what I told you before, can you try to explain how to measure all these trusses? This is complicated example of the complicated design. Calculate the following common rafter. Where is common rafter? So from this drawing, this is the example of common rafter. Okay, how you want to explain to measure, you have to use the concept of either sin, cos, or tangent. If the drawing show you the length on plan, let's say this is the length on plan, and then you are given the height, you can use hypotenuse concept. Or if the drawing gives you the information on the pitch of the roof, then you can use the cos to get the measurement. Same goes to the rest. Okay, so this is actually the overview for you to at least know how to get the length of the rafter, how to get the length of the gable, how to get the length for the hip roof, and so on. I would like to show you this example because there are also certain drawing where the gable, the common rafter is different for different shape. Why I'm saying so? Because if you look at this one, this length is shorter. But if I ask you to measure common rafter for this one, this is a bit shorter. Can you see? The red color is longer, the yellow color is shorter. But both are considered as common rafter. Can you combine these two items? Can you combine, Irene? This common rafter. One is longer, one is shorter. Irene, what do you think? Can you combine? Irene bin Muhammad Hisam. Evin Mo Kaiming. Can you combine? Why cannot combine? Why cannot combine? Can you give the reason why? Evin Mo, what do you think? Can combine or not? If same size, can combine. Thank you, coverage. Yes, Irene, if you have the same size, you can combine. But in this case, I only mentioned that the length is different, but the size can be similar. Okay, so what you need to check is, number one, you have to check the size. If the size are similar, whether they are whether the length is longer or shorter, there will be no issue. Okay, but if the size is different, you cannot measure together. If the size are similar, definitely you can combine. That is the rule. Is it okay, Irene? Is it okay, Irene? You can combine. Okay? Yes or no according to the size. What about the valley? Can you see the valley here? You can see the valley as well. This is the valley. Okay, this valley may be having the same size as the common rafter. Can you combine? One is valley, one is common rafter. I would like to ask Vivian. Can you combine valley and common rafter that having the same size? Vivian? Is Vivian here? Vivian. Can you combine valley and common rafter? Tommy, I asked you one more question. Can. Okay, what about Tommy? Can you combine the ridge and the wall plate? Can you combine the ridge and the wall plate under one item? Tommy? Tommy is here. Tommy Lim Wenqing. Ridge and wall plate, can you combine? Tommy Lim Wenqing, can you combine ridge and wall plate? No answer. What about Tiu Zhao Yong? Ridge and wall plate, can you combine or not? This is to make sure that you understand why you can or why you cannot. Tommy Lim, Tiu Zhao Yong. Second call, Tiu Zhao Yong. Can. Why can? Basically, the wall plate and ridge cannot be combined, even though they are having similar size. Why? Why? Because the wall plate is different clause with the ridge board. Okay, Tiu Zhao Yong? The wall plate is under different clause with the ridge board. So, if I ask you the ridge board and valley, can you combine? Basically, if they are having the same size, you can combine. But once I mention about the wall plate, definitely you cannot combine. Any item with the wall plate cannot be combined, even though they are having the same size. That is the rule. Okay, so this is also another exercise. You can see here they are common rafter. This is a common rafter. And then you can see the collar beam here. This is the collar beam. If you need to measure the collar beam, you can either use the height, if the height is given, and if the pitch is given, let's say I give you the pitch here as 30 degree, you can use the trigonometry concept. Okay, you can try this one as well. Okay, next one, we go to the last part under roof structure. We have the sunrise. So sunrise here are referring to the component or the item that you have to use to combine with all the structure. Give you an example. This is the gusset plate. Can you see the gusset plate? This is the gusset plate, and they are bolt and nut. This is the gusset plate but using the nail. That is different. This is the gusset plate that using the bolt and the nut. Okay, so they may be different in terms of the design. You can refer to M.30. Why we refer to section M? Because we have the metal work on the timber surfaces. So the example of the metal work here, we have the dowel, we have the bolt, and the nut shall be measured in number. So you can see the word shall be enumerated, stating the method of fixing and whatever mortises, sinking that one need to be dim. Dim means you don't have to measure. Okay. where drawing information in accordance with 8.5 are given. 8.5 is referring to the detailed drawing, means you have to write down the drawing number, because there are certain drawing where you don't see any detailed drawing on this particular sunrise, so you have to refer to the drawing number in order to write the description. This is the example of the description for the gusset plate. I would like everyone to take note. This topic will come out in your final exam, yeah, for the gusset plate. Okay, for the gusset plate, we have to write down the extreme sizes. Okay, we have to write down the size, but extreme sizes is referring to the maximum size. Okay, I give you one example. Let's say I ask Tommy, can you see this size? Can you see this one? This is in cross shape, right? But how you want to identify the shape? You can write down the length and the width by the extreme size. Means the length is the maximum and the width is maximum. If I draw the line, this is the length, maximum. This one also the length, but you have to mention according to which drawing number. So the size must be maximum size, length and width, provided where the shape are different. Okay, look at this one. How you want to identify the length and the width? This is the length. Okay, this is the length. Can you see the length? The width is this one, maximum. Okay, you can see this one's the shape are considered as unequal, but the rule is writing the length and the width maximum. Look at this. So the length here, the width is here, maximum. Then you have to write down according to drawing number. Unless the shape is common as square, so you don't have to write according to drawing number. That is the information as stated under clause in section A, where the drawing detail are not provided, when we have to write down according to drawing number, so that when you write down this, the conductor can refer to the detailed drawing in the detailed drawing where the conductor will like the shape, the numbers of the plate, and then the actual position. Okay, so this gusset plate must be measured in number only, stating the extreme size. I have experienced last 2 semesters, I give this question in final exam. The student is writing all the sizes, but then maybe he forget the extreme size is only length and width. Please remember this, yeah, Alvin. So for one jointing, normally you have 2 numbers of gusset plate. I give you this example again, this one. If you see this jointing, how many numbers of gusset plate? 2. One is here and another one is at the back. Okay, you have one here and you have one more at the back. So what about this size? You have to identify how. This is the length and this is the width, maximum. Okay, next item, the example that you have to measure is under M.28. This is the holes in the timber. How you want to know how many holes in the timber? This is according to number of the bolts. Okay, drilling, how many numbers how many numbers of the bolt are according to the numbers of the bolt according to the gusset plate. Look at this example. In this case, for example, for this gusset plate, how many bolts you have? 4 times 4, so 12 numbers. So when you measure 12 numbers of the bolt, there should be 12 numbers of the holes. That will be the easier equation for you to understand. The number of the hole in the timber will be similar with the number of the bolts and the nuts. Okay, so you have to write down according to the thickness of the timber as well. This is normally available in the drawing. Okay, next one, the second part of the measurement, we go to the roof covering. Basically, for the roof covering, as what I did mention, you have to know, you have to refer to section L. So section L is the reference for you to refer. You can see the title is roofing. Okay, this is the review on the terminology. The example for the profile, this is the profile. This is example of the profile that use aluminium or maybe steel. Okay, the second one, example of using interlocking tiles, either clay or concrete. And this one is example of the interlocking tiles. What about this? This is roof decking or steel. So the section that you have to refer is a bit different. Okay, if you flip over your section L, you can see the first one under L point. Can every one of you refer to section L? L.3. L.3 is under slate and tile roofing. L.16 is under corrugated sheet roofing. So that is the first one that I show you. Roof decking is under L.27. Bitumen felt, this is also under asphalt shingle, under L.31. And the last part is sheet metal roofing. So sheet metal roofing is different clauses. But basically, all this roofing has to be measured. If you refer to each of this roofing, you have to measure in meter square. Okay? This is the example of the interlocking tiles roofing. If you look at some of the components are almost similar like your roof structure. Okay, look at this example. You have the ridge board. So for the roof covering, you need to measure ridge covering. Look at this one. This is your hip rafter. But then when you measure for the roof covering, you need to measure hip covering. Okay, and the rest will be measured under roof tiles in meter square. Look at this one as well, the valley. For this valley, we have two options. Either you have the valley that is using flashing, or maybe the valley that is made from tiles. In Malaysia, a lot of valley are only made from valley flashing, okay, not from the tiles. So the most important is you need to know what are the component, the name, the shape, and so on. Okay, so the one that we are going to discuss in detail for the studio and for the measurement is the first one. The next one is maybe for your understanding and for the exercise and for your project later, big project later. Okay, this is the recap part to show you the slate and the tiles. You can read and go through. For those who cannot remember what is the meaning of single lapping, double lapping, slate and plain tiles, all of these you have to go through again. Why I ask you to go through again? Because all of these you need to write down in your description. Okay, you can refer to L.4, how to write down the description. You need to know how many lapping, what is the double lapping, what is the meaning of single lapping, and so on. Please go through and for all this recap session. Okay, on the right hand side, this is also review on the terminology, but this is under metal sheet roofing. You have to measure in meter. Swissma is one of the company, very famous company, used to supply metal sheet roofing. Including the famous building we have in Malaysia, KLIA 2. They also supply the roof covering that is made from aluminium and aluminium composite, where the lifespan can be up to 30 years. Okay, normal interlocking tiles, that one is normally 10 years. You have to double check on the maintenance. But this one is normally go to 30 years, 30 to 40 years. Okay, and then for this roof covering, the term TCT also you need to take note. TCT means total coat thickness. Okay, total coating thickness, or you are given BST. BST means base coating thickness. Okay, I need all of you to take note this one as well, because this is actually the basic understanding on the steel structure. TCT means total. That means, let's say this is the cross section. Okay, the cross section for the T shape. The thickness of the steel itself is known as BST. BST, base steel thickness. But if every time you see the word TCT, means the steel had been covered with the painting. So normally when you want to order, please use BST, especially when the QS who is working on site, you have to write down the specification in the, you have to make sure that you write down the specification in the description as BST. But the one that I always see in the industry, they put TCT. So as a QS, you need to know that the correct one to write down the description is BST, the thickness of the steel without painting. Okay, because the painting is another item that you have to measure. This is the example. Okay, interlocking single lap pen tiles, all of this you need to write down in the description. For those who cannot remember half lapping, single lapping, double lapping, 1.5, this is how it looks like. This one must be clearly stated in your description. Okay, you have to write down this one in the description, how the clay is being interlocked, how the clay tiles or clay and concrete interlocking tiles is being connected. All of these need to be stated in the description. Okay, this is also the terminology. And now we go to the item to be measured. Okay, for the item to be measured, number one, you need to know what is the shape of the building. What is the shape of the roof, sorry. The shape of the roof will identify the item that you have to measure. Okay, so the first item that you have to measure is the roof tile itself. This is under meter square. And the rest of the component to close the gap. Look at one. You have to measure in meter. So the one that I put in the box, you have to measure in meter. Only the first one have to be measured in meter square. Okay, on the right hand side, the verge board. This is also similar as the bash board. For those who would like to see the similarity of the term verge board, bash board, and then the if board or fascia board also the same thing. After that, you have to paint. Remember, the painting is only for the painting to the exposed surfaces. Okay, and then this is the painting for the exposed surfaces put under roof covering. Previously, you also need to carry out the painting, but the painting on the exposed surface for the roof structure only. This is the painting for the boarding, like fascia board and the verge board. Last one is the insulation. Okay, so this insulation, you have to measure in meter square. You can take the quantity similar as the first item, that means the roof covering. Okay, for the first one, the first step for all the calculation, you need to divide into certain shape. Okay, I give you one example. The first one, you have to divide, this is part A and this is part B. Why you have to divide into part A and part B? This is for you to easily measure. What you can do is, you can take the dimension, look at the next slide. This is how you measure. You divide into small area, and then the formula is length of B. Look at B, this is length on plan, times with the length of common rafter. Okay, but I put here the length of B, you must consider the projection over gutter. The length of A also must be considered with the projection over gutter. Where is projection over gutter? Anyone know where is projection over gutter? I show you the projection over gutter is available in the example of measurement books. I think I have to go to drawing again to show you where is projection over gutter. We go to the drawing, yeah. Can you refer to your drawing as well? Class, can you refer to your drawing number 16, if I'm not mistaken? Drawing number 16 or 17. Okay, look at this. The projection over gutter. Very small, but that is something that needs to be considered. This is your drawing. Okay, your drawing did not show the gutter, but this one, can you see? Very small. That is the projection over gutter. So if I show you in this drawing and I zoom in, the projection over gutter is this one. This one. The projection. This is your fascia board. This part. So when you measure the length of A and B, both need to be considered with projection over gutter. Or we can put, because the common rafter, because the tiles is normally a bit more than the rafter itself. Just a bit more from the rafter itself. So when you measure this one, A and B, you must consider the projection over gutter. If I draw in the very small, that should be here, projection over gutter. This one also longer a little bit. Okay, so the rule of measurement is take the length on plan. This is the length on plan B, and then the height is given as 3 meter. So you can use theorem Pythagoras to get the length of the common rafter. You get the length of the common rafter, you can times with the length on plan. But remember, when you measure, you may measure half of the span. So after that, you have to times 2. That means if I draw again from the layout plan, this is the layout plan, and this is the line at the center. When you measure, you only measure half of the span. So after you measure this, you have to times 2. Because we measure half, then you have to times another 1 for another half of the span. Okay, this is the example of the description. The example of the description or the detail on what you need to write down. You can refer to L.4. Can you look at L.4? Chong Sulin, what is L.4? L.4. Chong Sulin, L.4. Can we open can we open our SMM for a while? Chong Sulin, L.4 is what? Roof covering. L.4 is the clause to show the unit of measurement only. Okay, but I would like you to look at the last sentence under L.4. Vertical covering shall be given separately. Why we need to measure separately? Because the shape is different and the way the worker need to install the vertical covering also a little bit different. Okay, in order for you to refer what details need to be referred, you have to refer to L.3. Yeah, Yuanqi, can you refer to L.3? What is L.3? Particulars of the drawing shall be given. Yuanqi, can you see that? Kind and quality of the slit of the tiles. Then you have to write down the size of the tiles. Yuanqi is there? The size of the tile, the laps. Can you see that? 75 mm and laps and 38 mm side laps. So this is why I asked you to refer to this in the terminology, because I need everyone to understand where is lap, where is the meaning of side lap, and so on. So at least when you write in the description, or let's say the engineer did not give you information on the laps or not, at least when you look at this drawing, you know where is side lap, where is end laps. Sorry. Okay, so that one has to be referred to the description. Sorry. And the other one is in terms of the battens information. Batten is used to support your tiles and how you want to install the batten itself. This is the example where fixed and martial nail has to be used. So unit of measurement is meter square. Okay, so basic formula is length of the common rafter times the length on plan. This is what I did mention in the previous slide as well. Then you have to times 2. Okay, so the rest of the item are the item used to cover the gap. For example, according to L.7, you have to measure the verge. This is the example of the verge tile. Can you see the verge tile? Where is actually the verge tile? Where is actually the verge tile? The verge tile, Chang Wenyi, where is the verge tile? The verge tile is at the gable. Chang Wenyi? Chang Wenyi. Chang Wenyi is female or male? Chang Wenyi. Chang Wenyi, male or female? Is at the gable? Gable and, okay, lelaki ke perempuan? I think after this I have to give you the list so that I did not wrongly call you. Okay, thank you, Chawenyi. This is at the gable end. You can see the shape and the pattern are different. So how you want to measure? You can take quantity from common rafter, but always remember to add in projection over gutter. That is the rule. Look at this, projection over gutter. Okay, and then the second item for the valley, this is what I did mention. You can see this one, example of the valley tiles, but very rarely seen in Malaysia. Why? Because normally in Malaysia we just apply flashing. That is a piece of the steel. So valley also can be measured in meter. you can also take quantity from valley rafter. Okay, so don't forget to write down this item in extra over. The which also have to be mentioned as extra over, and how to join this particular valley. Look at the last sentence. Pointing and pointing shall be given in the description. Okay, so this is the example where the girth or the diameter is 400 mm, or maybe you write down the girth size. Okay, roof capping for the sloping valley tiles. The third one is the example of, sorry, this is also the example of the valley rafter. Can we see how the installation is? Look at this. This design and this design is a bit different in terms of the shape. Okay, you can take the measurement from the length of the valley rafter, or where the valley rafter normally similar length as the hip rafter. Okay, L.47, this is according to the different material that is normally applicable. We call this one as flashing. Lean-to roof normally has this particular flashing, and this flashing also can be applied to cover and used as the valley. If you already have valley tiles, we did not have to measure the flashing for the valley. Okay, so either one. You have to look at the detail. Okay, this is what I did mention. Flashing used as the valley. Can you see this one? The length can be similar as the length of the length can be similar as the length of the hip rafter or the valley rafter under L.47. Okay, next one, we have the ridge tile given in meter as extra over. So this item is given an extra over according to L.9.2 because this clause is having the similar clause as the hip rafter. You can see that the first description are similar, but the only difference is the ridge tile. This one also can take quantity from the ridge board, so you don't have to show the measurement again. Okay, this is under L.9 under the same clause, but this is for the hip covering. Hip covering having the same line as the hip tiles plus the projection over gutter. I always mention about this because a lot of students forget to add in the addition for the projection over gutter. You can take the length from the rafter, but don't forget to add in the line that is beyond a little bit from the gutter itself. Okay, under roof covering also you have to measure underlay. This is only if possible because not all building having underlay. Okay, international or Malaysia normally we don't install underlay unless for certain type of the roofing required to measure overlay. Underlay. Underlay is measured similar as the quantity for roof covering in meter square. Okay, but for the roof covering, the last part that is the most important is the insulation. Okay, insulating material. But for this insulation, because we have the insulation under timber structure, so we have to go back to section M, not only section L. Under section M, point 29, insulating material shall be measured in meter square. The example in the books mentioned that the glass wool and aluminium come together, so that's why they put under one item. But basically, according to M.29, all these three items has to be measured separately. For those who cannot remember, this is the glass wool. Okay, the glass wool for the insulation, and then the one that you see shining, this is the aluminium foil. And in order to support these two, you need to install the wired straining, or some people call as chicken wire mesh. That is actually the same thing. So the quantity you can take exactly as the quantity for roof covering. So this is the first one, aluminium foil. The second one, aluminium coated rock wool. You can see that the density can be different. Different density having different price, and of course different usage. This is the glass wool, the rock wool that is having high density, and this is the one that I did mention. Okay, rock wool, brand mineral, rock wool, brand mineral wool, and sometimes it's already coated with the aluminium foil. If they already coated with aluminium foil, this one you only have to measure in one item. Okay, if not, everything has to be measured separately. Look at this. This is the glass wool. This is also the glass wool. Okay, and then the last one, chicken wire mesh. Approve a layer of galvanized steel chicken wire mesh, or some people use the word straining wire. That is actually the same thing under the sloping roof tiles. And then if you need to mention this one used to support as insulation, also can. You can put this one in the description. Look at this. This is actually the chicken wire mesh. If you did not have this, chicken wire mesh, or you don't have this training wire, all the glass wool will be collapsed because there is no additional support. That is the purpose why you have to put this chicken wire mesh. Okay, so this is the roof covering. How you want to write down the description for the last part for the boarding, we can refer to section M.1. Write the cross section, the type of the timber, the timber, and then you can measure according to the length on plan. The verge board, you can take the quantity as the verge tile and same as the common rafter. Okay, and the last item for the roof covering is painting. I also would like to take note that the painting is also required to be measured for the exposed rafters. Okay, but the rule I only show once in this particular lecture notes. You have to refer to U.3.2 according to the GUF. So this is the example where the size is 75 times 450. The fascia board normally bigger, yeah. So 75 is the width, 450 is the height. So in this case, the GUF is more than 300 mm. So you have to measure in meter square. Get the length on plan and times with the GUF. That is the second part. We go to the last part of the measurement of the roof. This is the gutter and rainwater downpipe. So this is the overview of rainwater downpipe. Please go through all this terminology. For example, where is the hopper head, the swan neck, the pipe bracket. The pipe bracket is not to be measured, but you have to write down in the description. This is the rainwater downpipe. The shoe normally at the bottom before it goes to the apron of the slab. Apron slab means the slab outside the building. Okay, and on the right hand side here you can see the detail of the gutter. So this clause, this particular sub element, you have to refer to section Q. So under section Q as the introductory, we have to know the classification of the work and then the location. Definitely this is under external. Okay, so we have to write down on the top, rainwater installation, in the bracket external installation. Okay, you have to specify the main heading according to the one that I highlighted here, Q.2.1a rainwater installation, also including the gutter. Okay, so that one must be clearly stated in your heading and subheading. We go to the first one, that is gutter, measure in meter. You have to state what is the size, what is the installation, and then how the shape is, what is the material, and so on. So that is under kind and quality. Measure from the length on plan. And look at this example. This is the example where the gutter is made from PVC pipe. We have to write down the kind and quality, the size, and how to install. This is the example where the gutter is installed using the bracket at the fascia board. The second example, also the gutter, but using another material, GI gutter. And then you can see the example of the shape from this particular catalog. Next one, also the gutter but different material. Okay, there are also certain scenario where the gutter has the cover. So how you want to measure this particular item? This is also considered as gutter fitting. So gutter fitting has to be measured in number according to the size. but you have to write down in extra over. Look at this example. This is the example for the GI gutter at the bend. At the bend, this is the example 90 degree, 45 degree, and so on. You have to write down extra over and what is the size measured in number. Okay, this is another example of the gutter fitting but using UPVC pipe. Okay, this is the example for the gutter in 100 mm half round diameter. So next one, we have the last item is the pipe. So the pipe itself, you have to measure according to the story height. This is the rainwater down pipe itself. You have to write down according to the size of the pipe and measure separately for different material. Okay, so the pipe for the rainwater down pipe, you can refer to the story height. Provided that they are fitting or not, we have to measure the pipe according to the size in diameter, and look at the word measure over the pipe fitting. That means even though you have the pipe fitting at the center, you have to measure over. You don't have to deduct any pipe fitting for that particular pipe. Okay, this is what I did mention just now. We have the pipe fitting known as swan neck. For those who cannot remember the swan neck, this is the swan neck measured in number. And then this is the example of the description. The first one is the example of the description for the pipe itself. The second, the third, and the fourth are the example for the fitting for the rainwater down pipe. The shoe is at the bottom. Look at this. This is the shoe. And then this is the swan neck, where you have the T. You have to measure the downpipe branch T, and you have to write down all the size. Okay, then the last one is you can refer to drawing number 15 until drawing number 15, 16, 17, until number 18 for your studio work. And for this particular drawing, for this particular topic, I would like everyone to look at the example of measurement for you to get the true understanding on how you want to measure every single item in the roof measurement.